Hello and welcome to another video. As you can see, I just got out of the shower and I wanted to get ready for a live stream I wanted to do for another YouTube channel. And the theme of that live stream is actually Pride Month. So while I was getting ready, I thought, why don't I just turn on this? And as I'm getting ready, I can talk about my sexuality and why I think I'm bisexual and how I figured it out. I don't really have anything on yet, so if I don't look like models on YouTube or anywhere, I'm sorry, but I'm just a regular person. A regular person who apparently ran out of vitamin C. Okay, let me grab my primer, prime my skin real good so I can start the story. Okay, it all started when I was in fourth grade. There was a girl in my class who used to sit right next to me, and her name is Elahe. And since you probably don't know, Elahe actually means goddess in our language. So it was really interesting that the first person I found as a goddess was called goddess. I remember crying in my sleep and thinking, why can't women marry? Because I had no idea that that was even a thing. How would I know? I'm Iranian. I lived in a very conservative country. And even though gay men are very evident in Iran, uh, they're actually made fun of, unfortunately. And when it comes to women, being attracted to women, it's not actually a thing. I mean, it is a thing, obviously. They do exist. But at least when I was there, people would treat it as just a phase, nothing serious. Like, all girls are a little bit gay anyway. They're not. So I really, really liked this girl. But I knew that what I was feeling was weird, and I didn't even know what to do with it. I wanted to talk to her all the time, I wanted to be friends with her, and I was just sort of obsessed with her. Thinking back at it, I don't think she really liked me that much, because even though we were sitting next to each other, she had different friends. Sometimes she would just go to them, uh, and I think I would get jealous. But as I grew up, I realized that it wasn't even just her. There were times that I would think about some of my other classmates, especially during middle school. And it was what did I do? Especially during my middle school, I just had a very tough time. It was also around the time that I lost my dad. So I was actually known as the emo girl who didn't even like music or anything because I genuinely didn't. For sometimes I couldn't even eat anything sweet. That was how sad I was. And at the time, I had this like strange thoughts that I couldn't really figure out, but I never really thought much of it because, first of all, I had no idea it was something I needed to think over. And I was like, well, even if I liked women, that makes no sense because I do have crushes on boys too. Not everyone, but it happens. Then when I was in high school, I ended up meeting this girl. I don't want to call her name, but yeah, I do remember all their names. And she was a lesbian, and I remember talking to her about her crush. She had a crush on one of the girls who was just really tomboy, like really, really tomboy. And I remember feeling really bad for her, but thinking I can't really relate because at the end of the day, I do have crushes on boys. But how can someone just have crushes on women? That makes no sense. I remember listening to her talk about her crush all the time. And then at the end, I was like, you know what? Why don't you just talk to her? Maybe she's into it. Maybe it will work out. And I feel really bad because it did not work out and the girl was straight. And I remember she got really upset and we were sitting next to each other in a class. And I told her, you know what? I know it's hard, but just try to smile. Sometimes just trying to smile makes you really happy too. And it was just so stupid that we started laughing and it actually cheered us up. When I entered high school, it all actually stopped. I stopped having any feelings for any women. And I'm sort of a late bloomer, but here's the thing. When I was in high school, I had too many things to think about to even worry about boyfriends or anything else. I remember almost all my friends having someone, and for me, it wasn't even a necessity. I was like, I have time, and currently, I just really don't want to do it. And my friends were always so surprised by it. It was also during the time that I started going through Tumblr, and I was in a community that was not actually Iranian anymore. And that was when I realized, oh, so bisexuality exists. So it is possible for someone to be attracted to both men and women. That sounded exactly like me. And I also started learning more about the whole community, and I was just so fascinated by it. And since no one at our school would talk about it, I took it upon myself to be the teacher that would just go around the school and tell everyone about what it is. I remember one time one of our religious teachers came to our class to talk about how bad homosexuality is. And I remember her saying that, you know why it's bad? Because it's disgusting. Don't you feel disgusted when you even think about two guys together? And the moment she left, I was like, well, did you think the consensual relationship or whatever that people do when they are heterosexual is not disgusting either? Because the first time I found out about both of them, I was pretty freaked out because what is happening over here? And it wasn't even just me, my other friends were feeling the same way. Like, obviously, it's not even about you. Like, why do you care what people do behind the closed doors? They're not disgusted. They like it. So, what's your problem? And I was just so stupid that I would actually draw pictures of different gay characters in school just to make sure that I'm doing something. I just wanted to normalize that everyone else would draw pictures of heterosexual couples. I was like, why wouldn't I do it with a gay couple? It's normal too. And after some time, everyone kind of just understood that that was just me, my personality. But me myself, I was just not really into any girls or any boys at a time. And I was like, what, 15, 16 at a time? So I was like, what if I'm not actually bisexual? Maybe I'm actually asexual because I'm not even looking for a relationship. But here's the thing, it wasn't that I didn't feel attracted to people. I just really didn't think that was the time. And I didn't really have anyone that I would be like, you know what, that sounds like a good idea. I was always really practical about this sort of things. But the moment I actually started understanding my sexuality was after we came to Turkey. And I had a lot of different friends from Tumblr. And one of them was someone that I developed a huge crush on. I'm not even talking about a crush, I was dead ass in love with her. And here's the thing, there were a lot of dramas because I wasn't apparently the only person who really, really liked her. One of my other friends also really, really liked her, and I had no idea. Uh, but talking to this girl for some time, I was like, so this is love. So this is love. It wasn't even a normal kind of love. It was the kind of love that I was like, oh, so this is how life is when you actually want to spend it with someone else. It was like a really genuine connection. We never ran out of things to say. And I was just always so giddy and excited to talk to her. She was gorgeous. And it was just so easy to fall in love with her, basically. And I used to just go to my other friend and talk to her about how in love I am with this person, even though in reality it didn't even last that long. I'm still friend uh, with my first love, let's call her that. But she is literally the reason I realized, yep, I do swing both ways. And ever since then, it just made sense because the same way I look at women is the same way I look at men. I'm not talking about personality wise, I'm talking about attraction wise because there are times men piss me off with the way they belittle women or just do things that I'm like, just why? But generally speaking, I just really, really liked this girl, and I knew that that was me. Funny enough, I've had more experiences with women than men, and I didn't really try to hide it. I remember coming out to my mom was one of the scariest things I've ever done in my entire life because I had no idea how she would respond to it. And at first, it wasn't easy. I mean, my mom grew up in Iran and she got used to their rules and how things were. But I'm just so lucky to have her because even though in the beginning she wasn't really familiar with the whole concept, she changed for me. And she started actually looking up everything and she was like, yeah, now I understand what you're saying. And she's one of my biggest supporters now. She's like, I don't care what kind of partner you end up with. Even if you end up with no partner at all, I still love you for who you are. And this is something that I'm just forever grateful for. Because I know that generally that's not how most parents would react, especially coming from the place I come from. And it's always so funny to me when people try to make it about, no, you know why you think you're into women? It's because of the media, it's because they actually made you feel that way. But the funny part is, I used to cry to sleep because I thought homosexuality didn't even exist. In reality, not only it existed, I only got to find out about it once I realized that other people felt it too. And honestly, even right now, it's not really that easy to be open because even though some people are open in Turkey, and although it's not like in Iran where they would literally execute you for your homosexuality, in here it's actually like they judge you a lot for it. I remember one time I was giving a lesson. I come out and I see a few pieces of papers scattered around the room, and it said, "You belong to the graveyard." And the only people who were actually there were me and my boss's wife, who is very open about everything, and a guy who had previously mentioned that he really, really doesn't like the fact that I think I'm bisexual. He was like, no, you need to follow your ancestors' examples. And I was like, I am. Most of my ancestors in Iran were actually pretty, pretty. Okay, what do we think so far? I like it. Okay, now with the purple one. So I ended up telling my boss, and he was like, no, he was probably joking. And I'm like, you are aware of the fact that we teach children in here. That's actually worse if he is joking, because who was he joking with? What is funny about someone belonging to a graveyard? And that's not even the only time I had to deal with really silly people when it comes to my sexuality. So I never really tried to hide it, and one of the best things I've ever decided to do was being open and actually showing people that this is really normal. And as long as you're just enjoying your life and you're being true to yourself, no one really has a right to tell you what to do or what not to do. Sorry about that. There was no way I could do my eyeliner in front of this. So I had to step back and also wear my clothes, get rid of the cap. And now the only thing left is my lips. You know, sometimes it feels like, what if I'm not actually bi? What if I'm a lesbian? And sometimes I'm like, what if I'm actually into guys? And all of this have been wrong. Because I don't really date that much. And most people infuriate me when it comes to dating. But in reality, it also feels really nice to have your options open and let it be. Because if I'm going to find my soulmate, not that I actually believe in soulmates, but the one for me, the person that I'm gonna be with at least for some time, I want to feel like, hey, I don't really care what they have in their pants. I am with this person because of their personality. Because at the end of the day, I am attracted to both men and women. And I am forever going to support anyone else who's going through this journey because I know how difficult it actually is. And I know that not everyone is also blessed with the kind of parents I was blessed with. So I am going to do everything I can to spread as much positivity as I can. At the end of the day, love is love, and who you want to be with should not really bother anyone else unless they don't really know how to stay in their own lane. So that was it. This is the makeup. As you can see, it's like, I'm gonna start with here. Goes from yellow to orange to red, and in here you can see green, blue, and purple. It's very subtle, my style, but I like it. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Happy Pride Month, and in case no one told you today, you're beautiful, valid, and important. I hope you will have a great rest of the day. See you later.